Actually, Senator Argyle and I had a hearing, and Three C's restaurant down 61. Dave had run his business for 40 plus years, and they, of course, they came in and said, "You're not an essential business. You have to shut your business down." So he closed his business and then didn't open right away because he said, "I'm older, my staff is older, my clientele's older, and we're afraid." So he stayed he stayed closed. So when he finally reopened, his unemployment compensation fees went from $300 to $3,000. And he looked at us at this hearing and goes, "That's not fair. I never had anybody apply for unemployment, but you forced me, the governor, and you guys forced me to close, and now that I'm back, you're penalizing me with this." It's like, well, that's a really terrible story. Okay. And after, they pack up the cameras and the meeting's over, the people from the Republican Policy Committee come up and goes, "Wow, that was some powerful testimony. And Tim, they looked at you and Senator Argyle in the eye and said, you have to fix this." Normally it's like, well, I hope somebody in Harrisburg or somebody in Washington could fix this problem. No, they looked at you. It's like, okay, so let's go fix this. So he and I, the senator drafted legislation, I drafted legislation to basically say, if you've been closed down during a pandemic by a governor in the past or future, your unemployment compensation will freeze, and when you reopen, you'll be held harmless. Pretty simple. Now, this was 9 days before the end of session. So we didn't have time to get that through the House and the Senate and get passed and signed by the governor by itself. But we were able to take that bill, find a Senate bill that was on a similar program, and amend our bill into their bill. So it turns out it became plugged into another bill that was already running. We got it through the House, got it through the Senate, and the governor signed it, which is remarkable. But that bill allows businesses not to be punished.
Yeah.
And it was done in 9 days. Now,
that's amazing.
The average bill in Harrisburg, they tell you, takes about 6 years. When it's like, I've got a great idea for a bill till it crosses the finish line. So we were pretty spoiled, but very happy to be able to help. And that all became because an entrepreneur came and told us the woes that were put upon him, and we found a way to fix it. And you feel pretty good about that. That makes your job in Harrisburg worth a year's worth of work.
It's at least you did something and you didn't just sit there and vote for stuff.
Right. My first bill, I got a call from St. Luke's Hospital, Micah Gursky down in Tamaqua. Now, I've known Micah forever. He used to work with Senator Argyle. Now he's with the hospital and very involved in the Tamaqua growth. He called and he goes, "Tim, I'm having a problem." I said, "Okay, how can I help?" Now, I'm on the Lehigh Valley Hospital Board of Directors, but here's my competitor calling me. And he explains that, well, ever since the pandemic's over, the Department of Health is now showing up and saying that our hospital badges are not in compliance. And they're giving us a fine, and we have to get all new badges. I said, well, that kind of sounds dumb. He goes, well, it is dumb, Tim, because our hospital badge says St. Luke's Healthcare System. Now, in the old days, it was St. Luke's Hospital, Minersville, St. Luke's Hospital, Allentown, St. Luke's Hospital, Wilkes-Barre. Now it's all one system. So we just, instead of having individual badges for each place, we have one badge. It has a chip in it, so it opens up your charts, it gets you through security, all that stuff. And there are no chips right after COVID, so there's a chip shortage. So we can't get chips. We have to get all new, 18,000 new badges, which are going to cost us $200,000. And we can't get them because they don't exist. There's no chips. And we now have to give a doctor or a nurse 4 different badges so they can lose it 4 times. I said, that's really dumb. So let me see, I'll look it up. So I called the Lehigh Hospital. I said, I got a call from Micah. It's like, are we having trouble? He goes, yep, 22,000 badges. We have to get new badges. We can't get them. Cost us $270,000. This is done. Okay. So I went to the health committee, which I'm a member of, and the executive director. I said, Mike, I said, I've got a problem. He goes, oh, I wrote that bill about 10 years ago. I guess it's time to update it. So it went from it has to have an individual hospital location on it to it could be a system. So we were able to write that. I went over to the health committee. We got a pass from health committee. Then I had to, go over to the Senate to their health committee, and Senator Argo helped me get in front of them, and I explained this logical process, and they go, okay, yeah, that's good. So then we got it passed through the House, passed through the Senate, and the governor signed the bill. So my first bill came in to fix hospitals. In the meantime, Geisinger jumped on board, Penn State Health jumped on board to saying, yeah, this is a good bill to do. And I was very excited because, you get your bill, you get dressed up and you stand on the floor and you say,
This is my bill.
this is my bill and this is why it's important. I would like everyone to understand that it would support it and let's vote it out of the House and make this good law. And they came over me right before I was supposed to introduce the bill. And they said, Representative, you're not going to speak on your bill. It's like, is there something wrong? It's like, no, it's going to pass, so just shut up. And I said, no. I said, I was all ready because I had my saying how important this bill was. And at the end, I was going to say, badges, we don't need no stinking badges. And it's like, no, we're glad you didn't speak. But that's from an old movie.
It's fascinating to see some of Mr. Twardzik legislation. A nearby restaurant closed down during COVID because their workers and owners were older. And the owner's unemployment compensation skyrocketed, even though no employee applied for compensation. So what Mr. Twardzik did was he basically passed a bill that said if your business was closed down by the government during COVID or during a pandemic, your unemployment compensation would freeze. And what's remarkable is that he did this in 9 days compared to the average 6 years. And he did this by amending his own bill into a bill that was about to pass, which is really cool. Also, at St. Luke's, hospital badges weren't in compliance for having the word system written on them instead of individual locations. And so he was able to rewrite a bill to allow hospital badges with system on them. It's funny how he wasn't able to say his point in front of the PA Senate because it was already going to pass. But really, Mr. Twardzik tries mostly to just leave people alone, as most people want him to. They don't want the government interfering with their everyday life. But what's important is that he's always ready to help when someone is in need.